Hello, Elise here from Miss McKenna's Life Leverage, and in this video I'll be showing you how I created the watermelons from my August bullet journal theme, and then just a few quick various styles that you can try. So let's get started. So firstly, I took my pencil and drew various watermelon shapes by simply drawing some circles, half circles, ovals and triangles. These are all super basic shapes, so they're perfect for those who aren't confident in their artistic skills. Next, I drew in the outer edge of the watermelon, and I found that you don't want to make these too thick because it just doesn't end up looking right. A good rule is that you make sure you have at least twice as much pink fleshy area as you do of the green skin. Next I go in with my green Tombow dual brush pen from the Brights pack and fill in the outer edge, leaving enough space to fill in the rest with a slightly lighter green. I'm not creating a block colour by just drawing the line across, I'm kind of feathering it to give it a little bit of texture. Here I'm going in with that lighter green. This one is from the Tombow's Pastels pack. I'll leave a link to all the pens in the description, but you could recreate this look with any brand of coloured pens or pencils. And this green I take right up to the edge of that pencil line that I drew in earlier. Once I've finished, I take my Stadler, I think that's how you pronounce it, my Stadler in dark green, and I just draw in the outline. And I find this makes the green really pop and it balances out the bright pink that I'll be using later. Now I'm taking my plain colourless Tombow and using it to blend the greens so that the edges aren't so harsh. It doesn't blend quite as well on this particular paper that I'm using because it's super absorbent, but it works really well with watercolour paper. You can use thinner types of paper, but if you do, you'll need to be wary of bleed through if you're adding a lot of ink. Now I'm using my pink to draw in the inner edge and then drawing some lines out from the centre. If you do it this way, I find the colour distributes better so that they just look juicier because the most concentrated area of the colour ends up sort of nearer to the centre. I'm not going all the way up to the green, I'm leaving just a little bit of a gap in between, and I'm feathering the edges again like I did earlier. And then when I finish this step, I just use a red to colour what would be the innermost part of the watermelon, following the lines I created earlier to make it look just extra juicy. Once again, adding this darker contrast really makes the end result just sort of pop off the page. And then I just continue this same technique for all of the watermelons throughout the whole sort of spread. But there are some slight variations. And so, for example, when I draw this half, excuse me, when I draw this sort of half melon, I add some extra green shading to show the different colour patterns on the skin. You can use a normal pen, but I like a slightly softer, more blended look. So I'm transferring some of my dark green pen to my plain tip Tombow, so that the colours will mix just a little bit more easily. When I'm shading in a full circle, to make sure that the colour is still darkest at the centre, I draw those guidelines again, but I'm just doing a rough sort of star shape this time, and then I fill it in. So to recap, dark green first, then the light green feathered round the edge, then your pink lines as guides, fill in your pink, and then you're just going to, oh, don't forget the green outline, and then the darker middle. And finally, to finish off, you just put your little seeds in, which I just sort of cluster towards the centre of the watermelon, and then you're done. Ta-da! As promised, I wanted to show you a few quick variations of these. So the first one is using really standard pens, just pink, light green and dark green. And I'm not feathering it, I'm just making it really plain and simple. So that's really basic, anybody can create that one. The next one, I'm using the same pens again. Like I say, you can use any kind of colouring pen to create this. It really doesn't matter what the brand. as long as you've got, your basic three colours: dark green, light green and pink. And the only difference I've done here is that I'm feathering the edges slightly. You can see the difference, and it doesn't take much, but it gives you a completely different look. For this one, I've switched to my watercolour pencils. This would work just as well with your standard kind of pencil, and I'm just varying the pressure that I'm putting down to create this shading so that there's more lead distributed in one area than another. It just takes a little bit of practice, but it's quite simple, and it really changes any sort of colouring technique. You can see on this second one, I'm now using, you could use a paintbrush with some water, but I'm using my Tombow to sort of colour, because these are the watercolour pencils. This final one, I'm just sort of making it like you would if you were using watercolour paints. So I'm transferring a little bit of the pigment the pigment from the pencil, and then picking that up with my Tombow, which is pretty much the same as if you were using a paintbrush and picking up your paint and applying it to the page. So it's just sewing. God, I'm almost at the end of the video. Come on. It's just showing you the difference you can make with the different kind of materials. Finally, I'm taking a black pen and outlining one of the melons. I really picked the wrong kind of melon actually, because I should have done the one in pen for the first one, but the black outline just shows you how quickly it can make it pop off the page and sort of make it a little bit more cartoony. And then the next melon, I'm using a green for the green part and a pink to outline the pinky part. And that gives it a sort of softer look and still makes it really jump off the page. So there you have it. I hope you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.